What's up, everyone? Dem Boys back at it. Look, man, I appreciate the patience, but you're about to find out why it took me so long in between plays for new offensive plays. So this is the one-play offense I've been ranting and raving about here in my last few videos. We're just going to go ahead and call it the corners offense because it's the best corners offense in Madden. And it's not just corners. We have a ton of setups and 2 formations. So that's cool. Very excited about the 2 formations. Let's go ahead and start with the ball spotted to this side of the field. As I've told you guys before, you do need to be aware of what side of the field you're on in order for most route combinations to work effectively. So slants will stop. Outs or corners, in this case maybe, won't come as open. I'll talk you through all that. Some of you know already. So we're going to take B for the first formation. We're going to go ahead and slide him across. And this is always going to be how we start. Every time, 100%. I'm going to take A, I'm going to put him on a go. I'm going to take RB, and I'm going to block him. I'm going to take Y, and I'm going to curl him. You can, as well, try to create a high-low with Y, with an out, with a swing left. It doesn't matter. Check and release. Those are all options within this play. I prefer that kind of stuff when I'm on the wide side of the field. So note this setup can be run on either side of the field. Just note on the short side I prefer to have Y on a hitch. The reason is this guy over here will definitely slide all the way to the sideline if we have the high-low both going over there. Whereas he may not slide quite as far out unless they're being shaded outside if Y stays inside. Just a funny little thing I noticed about the way they interact. So I'm going to show you that now. We'll watch X, and it's going to be kind of a stress-inducing throw on the short side of the field, but it works. See, he pauses because he's looking in the backfield and he's watching the hitch. Now, I'll show you typically. We'll put Y on a swing. So now I'll try to make the same throw. So it worked here, and it can, guys. It can. That's why I say I prefer versus you can't. I'm not going to keep doing it until we get the animation so I can show it to you. But just note both our options. I prefer the high-low to the wide side of the field. Now, I'm going to show you my favorite setup, hands down for this. What we're going to do is we're going to take X, and we're going to put him on a hitch. We're going to take RB, we're going to put him on a curl. We're going to block Y, and A goes on a slant. Look familiar? With the hitch and the slant coming around the back side of it, it really should. So what we've essentially, again, created is a high-low going both ways, guys. We've got XA as a high-low, and we've got B and RB as a high-low. Now, when A is on a go, it will clear out B, and I will show you that, guys, just real quick. So this would be another setup. You don't have to run the slant. You can run this setup or the slant. I'm going to show you this setup first, just so you can see how B comes open when A clears it out. It acts like a mix-up of Pat's sail and a crosser from last year, which is why we're always motioning B over there, and we always have that route, because that's going to make the user sweat it out a bit. Back to our other setup, like this. Now we're just going to go ahead and first focus on A and X. X kind of held everyone up. A comes open. If they run out after him, X, I don't need to get a ton into that because, again, that's essentially the same concept in our money play. Yeah, check that out if you haven't. I'll put a link if you're on a phone. It's the X, the wow, can't stop, won't stop, wow, everything's open. Go check out custom trips. It's sick. Sick. So now we'll go with the same setup, and we're going to focus actually on B and RB. Now this is actually kind of a three-way read. You can read X, RB, and B. What typically will happen is X and RB will hold the defenders down, and B will come open behind you. Or you put the user in a bind, and the user runs back on B, and you throw to RB or X, depending who the user is on. If they're using one of these two, if he's on this guy, you're probably going to want to throw it out to X. If he's on this guy, you're probably going to throw it to RB, right? But we need to note the way B is going to come open now is going to be early. We don't have A clearing it out for the backside of the field. We have stuff clearing it out underneath as it comes over the middle. So we're going to throw this a lot earlier. Boom. I recommend A catching that typically in a game just because there's going to be users flying around. But you can see the effectiveness. Everybody bites down on the underneath stuff, and then he's just wide open. I didn't even have to pass lead that. Sometimes you may have to if they're playing tighter coverage, but, pretty simple. Guys, one side note before we switch sides of the field. X is a man beater. So if someone's testing you with man, here goes some different adjustments. Or if you just don't need as much blocking, you could run X or Y and RB like so on cross out routes technically, but going across the field, creating again a high-low. I mean, you could do it like this and create your high-low that way. Doesn't matter. Don't care. Stuff's really good against man. You could run it this way against zone too. You could. You could take X and do like so. And maybe put Y on a blocking route and create a high-low back to the other side of the field between RB and B. Your running backs are really, by and large, kind of wild cards within this scheme. So note that. And you'll even see in some of the different, in-game footage me running it different ways like that based on the coverages I'm seeing. So now if we're on this side of the field, I'll show you a few different setups. You will not be able to run A on a slant. He will stop. It will screw up the route. We can run X though. So here I'm going to block Y. I'm going to put X on a slant. I'm going to take RB and put him on a curl, and we're going to take A, put him on a go, whatever, fade, streak, doesn't really matter, probably a fade. Typically I would run fades. That probably should be noted. So here we're trying to, it's almost like a levels flood kind of a concept. We want to make a conflict between RB, X, and B. So if they bite down on RB and X, you hit them over the top with B. If they drop back on B, either RB or X will come open. Now the first adjustment, or different way we could do that, is we can take, and same way we did on the other hash, just put X on a drag. There you go. Now we create the same conflict. In essence, it's really, X is maybe a little more likely to come open that way. So just another way of running this to consider, guys. And then from there, you can still run this way. Except what we would do is we would take B or RB and put him on a hitch. And now we're creating a totally different type of high-low, in essence, where we try to get everyone to bite down, and we can throw B early, or we can throw B late, because A is going to clear it out. So in essence, this is just everything clearing out B. And I can take my time. It doesn't matter. I can throw that whenever the heck I feel like it. And again, the user drops back, you have a hitch. So, guys, that was a lot. I knew this was going to get longer, so I just have like 3 different setups where you can see some of the in-game stuff that I did. I would probably go back and hit that little red dot right back to the beginning of this video and watch it again, because I really just gave you so many setups in one play. Like, here's a scheme in one video. Have at it. So maybe even go into practice mode, right? And just rewatch that stuff and familiarize yourself. Because outside of X-Drag Trail, this is really it. The reason I prefer this over mesh, you might be saying, well, this is very similar to the mesh concepts, right? Well, B and X go a little bit deeper here, making some of these reads a little bit easier, you know? So I guess what I mean by that is, let's say I do have a swing to my running back. So let's say this is the setup I'm going with. We're on the wide side of the field now, right? So this is kind of where I recommended something like this. It's going to be so much easier to read Y, and Y is going to have so much more space, right? So if I shade deep over the top, I'm just going to have a little more room to catch that and juke, whereas sometimes on mesh you catch it, you're getting hit. Also, it can just be an easier read to make. No, really. I mean, look at how deep he drops back, and now, boom, I catch it. I've got a little more space to work with, so it is a little more user-friendly from a read standpoint as well. Again, I'm starting to really kind of like these outs out of the backfield. That's the problem. But then sometimes even creating that delay gives you more space, because everything moves back further and gives you a little more time to go through your reads and progressions. So food for thought, especially if you're making that on the short side of the field, where the read you have a little less time to make that read. Maybe it's good, you know, if Y takes a little longer to get out there, because you're going to be riding that X read up to the very last second, you know, like, am I going to get it? I still don't know, I got it. Right? So if you can see right when I said I got it, look where the running back was. So you can see there's an advantage there. If they're blitz, the other nice thing about this scheme is, you know, this is all interchangeable. So if they're heating me up off the Y side, Y can block and RB can come across the formation. No big deal, right? So you have a little bit of flexibility there to boot. And when I throw that, I'm passing that back towards me again. And that's great against cover 3 or man, typically. So hope y'all enjoyed. Enjoy the in-game footage. I know that was a lot. Appreciate y'all sticking with it. This has that kind of a chance to, and when I've been testing this, guys, I've been running it all game. Till I get into the red zone where the highs get too deep, right? And you just can't, because they run out the back of the end zone in theory. There's not enough room. But until then, when I've been testing this, I've just been running it with a very similar success level as our extra egg trail stuff out of trips. So that's my hot take. This is almost as good as that. You switch between this and that, and you've got yourself 2 plays that you can just bonk people on the head with repeatedly. Like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe and hit the notification button, because when part 2 of this drops, you're going to want to see it right away.
And he's down right around midfield after a gain of 2, maybe 3.
Everyone's got to be able to catch the football. Doesn't matter what position you play, but if you're on offense, be aware a ball may come your way.
So 2nd and 8 here after the pass play for 2 yards on first down. From midfield now, here's Jackson. Wide open receiver. From midfield now, here's Jackson. He finds Beckham complete, and he has the